Hi everyone, meteorologist Matt Gray here with the 4 News Now First Alert Weather Center. Another edition here of the Brainstorm on the 4 News Now YouTube channel and the Brainstorm newsletter. You can sign up right now at kxly.com. All right, guess what? It has been beautiful recently in our weather. It's even been a little hot for a couple of days, and it's really only been a couple of weeks that we have had these gorgeous conditions. Well, guess what? We saw on Tuesday that it does not take very much this time of the year to go from cool and wet and not worrying about certain things at all to beginning fire season. And that's where we are right now. We are right at the start of fire season 2022 here in the PNW. Here is what happened on Tuesday. We ended up having a very warm day on Monday and a pretty warm day on Tuesday. Not as warm, but it was windy. And so the day after, we saw triple-digit temperatures in central Washington. Then we had wind and we had extremely dry humidities in the afternoon as well, with humidities less than 20% for that kind of 3 p.m. to about 6 p.m. time frame. That completes what we call the fire triangle: hot, dry, and windy. You light off a spark in that, and things get out of control pretty quickly. And that is exactly what happened. There were 4 separate fires, and there were some evacuations ordered in parts of Grant County, especially near the Soap Lake area. Thankfully, it looks like everything is under control now, thanks to some cooler weather as we've gone later into the week. But certainly, it is a reminder here that it does not take much. Only a couple of dry weeks before we start to see things kind of moving in the opposite direction. And remember, in central Washington, there's still a little bit of a drought. Certainly not as severe as it was this time last year, but oh goodness, still enough to where things are going to dry out very, very quickly. So those fires in Grant County, not the only ones around the PNW. It is official by the folks who are tracking and coordinating the response to these fires. They're saying fire season has gotten started on another fire that is around Vail, Oregon, and Oregon's in a really bad drought situation still, so no surprise at the fires, that there is a pretty large fire as you head down into Oregon. And we also have another fire near the Tri-Cities, and I believe that's called Touche. Tell me if I'm pronouncing that wrong in the comments. 3,000 acres. So things lit up as we went through this recent hot stretch of weather. And I'm telling you what, the next time it is hot and then we see the windy weather come at the back end of these heat waves when cooler air comes in that we all look forward to, that's the recipe right now for seeing some fire conditions. So, hey, with 4th of July weekend coming up, Washington State DNR has the right idea. Don't be that person. Don't be the person that's lighting out the fireworks when you shouldn't be, and you start up a fire and you end up with some problems. You don't want to be that person this weekend. Now, just to show you how quickly things have dried out, we're going to use our friends at the Climate Toolbox. Wonderful website. Check it out if you've got some time. But this is a fire weather tool. Basically, this is one of the things they use, when you go to the National Forest and they have that fire weather kind of scale, slider clock looking thing. This is one of the things that they use to calculate that. This is called energy release component. Basically what it does is it takes all the moisture in the vegetation, both alive and dead, factors in the weather patterns of the past few weeks, and basically gives you an idea of fire danger if a fire were to start, how quickly things could get out of hand. And notice what has happened here in central Washington, where, by the way, some of the drier parts of the inland northwest as we went through the winter and an overall fairly wet spring. You can see that that ERC is getting into the red, and the red is bad. The red is not good, so no surprise there that, hey, Grant County, then south into the Tri-Cities and around the Dales, that is where we saw these fires pop up here as we went through Tuesday on that windy and dry day. We're also seeing the ERC start to go up a little bit around Spokane. So we're starting to dry out in the Spokane area. It was a lot wetter this year in North Idaho, and so at least for now, things are looking okay as far as the dryness of the forests and the grasslands. but the grasslands of central Washington are really, really starting to dry out. And so this is something we're going to have to really keep a close eye on as we head through the next few weeks as we get fire season in gear. Now I'm going to show you a graph of this ERC, energy release, basically the fire danger. Let's just translate it to that. For the Spokane area, and I've put a couple of arrows on here so you can kind of see how this relates to our weather patterns. Now we know that we were very, very wet in the beginning of January, and then we dried out a lot through February and into March, and you can kind of see how that really bumped up those ERC numbers. The black line is kind of what the middle range of our data is, or what it generally is supposed to be around for any given point in the year, and just kind of watch how things continue. We see these spikes during periods of warm and dry weather all the way up until the beginning of April and kind of through the middle of April as well. After that, Mother Nature turned the switch on, and it was wet and it was chilly. We got snow in April, and then May into the early part of June was super, super wet and super cold relative to those months. And so you could see that our ERC got into kind of record low levels as we entered kind of the middle of June. But also in the middle of June, the switch went off. And now we've had a couple of weeks where we've had pretty much hardly anybody has gotten some decent rainfall. And look what has happened. Boy, that graph just goes straight up. And now we are back into fire weather conditions, something that is very typical or even just a little bit ahead of schedule here. Now look, it's nothing compared to last year where we were at record levels and the fire danger was crazy, crazy, crazy. So we're still at a point where, yes, those sanctioned fireworks celebrations, such as in Riverfront Park in Spokane, we can have them. There's still lots of places that are fairly moist. But we're starting to see things dry out, and so it is time to start being careful because, look, in a couple of weeks from now, if this pattern continues on where we maybe cool down every now and then, but we're still not getting a whole lot of moisture, yeah, things are going to start to get dry really, really quick, and we're going to run into more and more fire problems. So my takeaway from this is even though things are pretty good right now, we are in fire season, and we are in fire season starting right now. Even though it is not as bad as some previous years, it is worth being careful outside. Backcountry, where you park your car, if you're out recreating, all those kind of different fire safety things that we know we need to be thinking about. It's easy to be complacent because of how wet it has been this year, and it makes us go, fire season won't be as bad. But that doesn't mean that fire season is canceled. It just means that we might be able to fall into a little bit of complacency. So don't be complacent. Practice fire safety. Know the rules and regulations for where you are going if you're headed out camping or recreating this 4th of July weekend, and just play it safe out there and have a great time. We do have some active weather, it looks like, for the 4th of July weekend, so make sure you stay with KXLY.com, KXLY YouTube channel, and the 4 News Now weather app as we keep you updated on the 4th of July forecast. In the meantime, we'll be back here next week with another edition of the Brainstorm. If you liked this, like and subscribe to the 4 News Now YouTube channel for more local news and weather content. Stay safe out there. Have a wonderful 4th of July weekend. We'll talk to you again soon.